I was the first theater teacher and director of shows here at University High School. You're going to hear from Daniel Knox, our music teacher, more about our theater, and you're going to hear from all of our teachers about why they teach and what they teach, and who's going to be leading them in that discussion is our leader, Alicia LaMagdalene, our head of school. So I'm going to turn it over to her. You're going to have the opportunity to go into the chat and ask questions. So that's what we hope that you'll do. And thanks for being here tonight. I know it's 7 o'clock. You've probably been up since 6 o'clock in the morning, but you are really in for a treat to hear from people who really care about kids and about their disciplines and what they teach. So welcome, and I hope you have a great session.
Thank you, Nancy, for that introduction, and thank you to all of you who are spending your evening with us, particularly if you've had a chance to catch our other information sessions. Thank you for spending some time learning about University High School. My name is Alicia LaMagdalene. I am head of school here at University, and I am excited to welcome you to our session on world languages and fine and performing arts. So we have some faculty here from all of those disciplines. I'm going to let them introduce themselves in a second, but first just a little bit about University. I hope wherever you are in your journey of learning about our school, that what has come across is that we are a school that prides itself on helping students find their passion and find ways to explore that in an academic setting. So if you are someone who loves math or science, you might have joined us earlier in the evening, or the humanities earlier in the week. But certainly if you love language, if you love performance, if you love artistic expression, we also want to help fuel those passions with you here at University. So we'll get to hear a little bit more about you, or about our programs here tonight. So I'm going to turn first to Anna Seldner and ask her, and then the rest of our faculty here to introduce themselves, talk a little bit about what they do at University, and why they wanted to teach here at our school.
All right. Buenas noches y bienvenidos. So good evening and welcome. My name is Anna Seldner, like Alicia mentioned. I teach Spanish, mostly Spanish levels 2 and 3, and I have been here since 2005, I believe. So I have enjoyed every minute of being here. I tend to talk a lot, so I will try to be as brief as possible. But I do want to tell you that I feel that teaching is in my blood. I come from a family of teachers on my mother's side. And not only that, but I also happen to be Mexican American. So I grew up speaking both English and Spanish. And it's just part of my persona, part of my life. And not only do I enjoy sharing my passion for Spanish speaking with others, but I feel like University High School is my home. And honestly, I treat my students as if they were my own children. I probably mother them a little too much at times, but I can't imagine being any other place. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shannon Swann. I teach the upper level French classes here at University, and I'm also director of international programs, so I oversee the international students at our school. We have a number of students who are here from overseas, and oversee the host family program as well, and work with our ESL teacher on our ESL program for those students. And I also, as part of that job, encourage students to do study abroad and to find international opportunities, especially in the summertime, where they can continue their study of language or learn about other cultures, but in one way or another sort of open themselves to a global experience. I've been at University High School since 2002, almost from the beginning. And like Anna Seldner, this is definitely a place I consider to be my home. One of the greatest things about teaching here, and there are many, is that my classes are relatively small compared to most schools. And what that means is that my students get a lot of opportunities to speak the language in class, which really helps them progress more quickly. And one of the other amazing opportunities here at University is that we do have a January term program, and on a fairly regular basis, I'm able to accompany students overseas. And that is a wonderful experience for them to get to put into practice what they've learned in class. And as a teacher, what is also amazing about January term is it gives you an opportunity to work with teachers that you wouldn't necessarily, get a chance to work with otherwise. So as it turns out, every single person on this stage, I either have done or will be doing a January term class with them, whether it's a French class or I'll be doing a class about New Orleans, which Daniel Knox, who you'll meet in a moment, will be doing with me. Tasha Barger, our art teacher, and I did a French J term several years ago. Alicia has been part of a Modern France class, and Anna Seldner and I also. So that is one of the amazing opportunities here at University High School that really works well with our language program, and just as a beyond languages, it's just one of the best things about our school altogether.
Excellent. Thank you, Shannon. Daniel? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Daniel Knox. I am the music director here, and I also collaborate with our theater director on the musical, and often end up getting involved with a lot of the fall play as well. So I can speak for Callie a little bit tonight about the theater program. So I teach the band, orchestra, choir, and a general music class. And so the general music class is typically an entry point for students who have not had any music experience before, but sometimes students who are in band or choir or something might take it. We offer an intro to music technology class, and then a follow-up to that called advanced music technology, which is basically learning how to produce music on the computer, produce and record music. And then I teach an intro to percussion class. And in our band, actually, the percussion have their own separate class where we rehearse separately and work on some more advanced techniques that wouldn't have time to do in the regular rehearsal. I was asked to speak why I love music or why I like working here. I love teaching music, and I always come back to this story. It's really powerful. It opens doors. It can be something that helps connect you with other people. It's a universal language. And once when I was younger, in college, I went to an orchestra tour in China for 2 weeks, and we had an immersion program with their conductor. And at first, the very beginning of the rehearsal, they tried to use a translator, and the translator kept trying to work in this rehearsal, and it was like so cumbersome and so slow. The conductor eventually was like, "No, go away. We're gonna do it this way," and we rehearsed together. We didn't have to speak the same language, and we didn't have to be able to have the same experiences to be able to have music connect us. And that was just so powerful to me. And I've had other experiences like that in my life where music has connected me with people that I probably wouldn't have been connected with otherwise. And so I love taking music. I love teaching music. And I always tell that story to try to encourage people to keep doing music in high school and then to keep doing music through high school. So you can take music for 4 years at university, and would love to have you in the program. So,
Okay. My name's Tasha Barger. I am a visual art instructor. I teach a variety of upper level art classes, and I'm teaching an art history class this year, actually 2 different art history classes. Trying to think of everything that everybody else covered. So I've worked here since 2006. So I've been here basically my entire professional career as a teacher. I've taught here, and honestly, when I started, I wasn't exactly sure I was going to stay here just because it was my first job. But I think somehow I won the teacher lottery. I ended up at like the best school that I could have had the opportunity and end up with. So. I feel really fortunate to work at the institute that I do. So like I said, I teach a variety of classes. I think one reason being a teacher here is so wonderful is that we get to lead with our passions, and we also get to lead with student interests. So a lot of the classes that I teach are driven by things that students were interested in, or things that I have found in my adult career as an artist that I'm really excited about. So I teach a textiles class that the kids love, but also I love, and I think they love it because I love it. Same thing with the art history class. Like, this is something that the kids wanted, but I also love art history. I majored in art and art history in college, so that was a really great, it's a great class to teach because I get really excited about it, and I think that the kids feed off of that as well. I think probably another thing that I want to say about our school, and one of the reasons why I think that I've stayed here as long as I have, is that much of our curriculum is about relationships and our relationships with students in the classroom. And I have the ability in my classroom to develop relationships with kids, but also through mentoring, I get to have like long-standing relationships with students that I probably wouldn't have at other schools as well. So it's a great place. I feel, again, very fortunate to work here, and I feel excited every day to come to class, which I think most of us feel that way too.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It is an exciting place to work and a great way to connect things that we're all passionate about as educators with young people and fuel that quest for learning, that drive to understand and to connect, whether it's through language or through the arts or math or science or any of the topics. I'm wondering if each of you might a little bit give an overview of the program. So we've talked in some of these other sessions about how in the humanities, and particularly in science, we have a lot of core classes that students take as freshmen and sophomores. That's not entirely the same for some of these disciplines. Language, if you guys would talk a little bit in a second about how they get placed and how things progress there. And then Tasha, maybe talk a little about the intro classes versus some of the arts. And Daniel, you can talk about how we're moving kids from band to advanced musicianship. So Anna, you want to kind of start off?
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I often hear from young kiddos, freshmen or parents of freshmen is, gosh, I'm really nervous because, specifically with Spanish, I suppose. I'm really nervous because I had, a little bit of trouble, in 8th grade or 7th grade in my Spanish class, or we didn't necessarily do, Spanish both semesters of, my 7th or 8th grade year. And so there's a little bit of nervousness around that, which I completely understand, because as much as I'm a native speaker of Spanish, I learned French. I don't speak it as well as Madame Swann, but I do speak it at home with my husband, who's a native speaker of French. And so I know what it's like to learn another language, and I don't ignore the fact that it is, it can be really, really wonderfully fun and also stressful. And I get that because I have felt that at times when speaking French, not necessarily speaking Spanish because it is one of my native languages. But so we do have a placement exam that we have kiddos that are interested in taking Spanish. We have them take that exam. It's available online, and it is not a perfect. It's not a perfect exam. It gives us sort of like a basic idea of where to place a student. But let's say that if a student places in Spanish 2, and then once they actually begin work in the class, they feel like, gosh, they're not sure if they're really prepared and they're, nervous. There's no problem with changing that placement and going back down to Spanish 1 or from Spanish 2 to 3, etc. So it's not set in stone. It just gives us a baseline kind of indication of where that student might best learn, but it's not set in stone. So I think it's important, for everybody to know that. We offer, in terms of Spanish, and then Shannon Swann will talk about French. So we offer Spanish 1, 2, 3, 4, and then AP. Sometimes we have AP literature, Spanish literature, but that's not always the case. It depends on the interest, but as far as I know, we have always offered AP Spanish in terms of like language and grammar, etc. And it's a course in which there's little bits of literature, as well as poetry and etc. And all of those upper level courses are of course taught in the target language in Spanish. I'm myself more familiar with the lower and mid levels of Spanish, of teaching Spanish, because that's what I focused on in my career here at university. We do ask students to go through the 3rd year of the language. So if a student places in Spanish 2, of course we want them to keep going, all the way, obviously. But let's say if they place in Spanish 2 as a freshman, then we ask for them to, continue 2 and 3, and then they can choose to maybe study French, or perhaps continue with Spanish, or we'd be really sad if they, don't want to study it anymore, but we understand. Let's see. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here we go.
So as Anna said, we do have Spanish all the way from the beginning through AP level, and that's the same for French. As Anna was saying, sometimes kids have nervousness about learning a language, and one of the other questions we often hear is, oh, I've never studied a language, is this going to be okay for me? We start at the beginning. So we have students that come in at level 1. but we have students that come in at level 2 and level 3 as well. And we're really pleased to see that a lot of our students do continue beyond that 3rd level of language. And we do know that requiring 3 years is more than some other places require. And one of the reasons for that is that if you have completed 3 years of a language, you've really had an opportunity to be exposed to pretty much the entirety of the grammatical structures and the basic vocabulary that you would need to carry on studying at the college level. And that, of course, is our goal for all of our students in all of the disciplines, that they be prepared and ready for college level study. So the AP program, it's kind of fortunate. I happen to be an AP reader, so I'm one of the people who grades the AP French exam every year. I've been doing that for almost 10 years. And so that's given me a lot of insight into how to prepare students for the AP exam. And yeah, we have, like I say, having smaller classes. They are smaller in French, obviously. That's probably isn't surprising to anyone. They're smaller than they are in Spanish. And also, I think we have a slight benefit is that a lot of people choose Spanish because they think it's easier. Anna and I would both tell you that that is actually not at all true, but it's one of those myths that's out there. And certainly, the proximity to Spanish-speaking countries, encourages people to take Spanish. But we do have a number of students who actually end up doing both. I speak Spanish and French. Anna speaks Spanish and French. That's not uncommon in our department. And so we offer pretty much from beginning to end, and our goal is to encourage everyone to do as much language as they can.
Yeah, and certainly we have a lot of kids who do double up, who are interested and passionate about that. Daniel or Tasha, you want to talk about the art sequence? Kind of how that goes? Yeah.
So in art, we have 2 fundamental classes that we like to start out with. There's Intro to Art, which is basically our foundation class for any studio art class, and then there's Intro to Photo, which is the foundation class for anything that's like photo-related photography. After you take those 2 introductory classes, the curriculum's entirely open to you. There are 3 art instructors right now, and we offer a really broad range of classes for the size of our school. So we offer darkroom photography, we offer textiles, like I mentioned earlier. We offer glass, the glass class, which is like a lot of stained glass. We offer kind of traditional classes like painting and drawing. And then all the way up to like junior and senior year, we offer the AP classes that you'll see at other schools as well. So the AP curriculum, there's 3 different portfolios you could take. So essentially a kid could actually take AP 3D, AP 2D, and AP drawing, and that would be sophomore, junior, and senior year if they were really into art, which I don't know if we've had anybody do 3, but I have had students do 2. And generally kids do really well on the AP portfolio at our school. We have a lot of really creative, thoughtful thinkers, and I think, again, going back to like what Shannon said about the size and ability for us to kind of individualize attention lends itself for us to give students a lot of creative space to explore ideas and concepts in their work as they go through the curriculum in the arts. Jamie Owens is the photography teacher, and I teach photography too sometimes, but Jamie, if you look around the school or if you look at any of the press stuff from the school, he's the photographer that does that. He actually has a separate business where he does a lot of photography as well. So he's not only a teacher, but he's a working artist as well, which is really exciting. And I think that kind of adds a different feel to his classes, and the kids learn from him in different ways than Meredith, the other teacher, and myself do. So, yeah, I think that's. What? Oh, and Luke, yes, Luke, poor Luke. Luke is actually, generally he is a science teacher, teaches a lot of physics classes, but this year he is teaching 2 different sculpture classes, and Luke is actually a working artist outside of the school with his partner, Quincy. They do a lot of like large installation sculptures. You'll see some of them if you come to the school. They are right outside of the youth center in the front. He also has like a bunch of large-scale light sculptures throughout Indianapolis and throughout the country, really. Every few months, it seems like he's out installing a new sculpture, which is pretty awesome. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're good.
So I don't know if Tasha talked about it. I think you did. But everybody's required to have 2 semesters or 2 years, so 4 semesters of art.
And I should say there's a question here about semester versus year-long classes. Right. So a lot of what Tasha was talking about, some of the art classes are semester-based, but music, they're year-long classes for the most part. Yes.
Yes. The music classes, especially the ensembles, are year-long classes. So that would be band, orchestra, choir, and the percussion. They are year-long courses, but many students do take the courses for 4 years and also go on to take several AP classes and really challenge themselves and double up on things. Sometimes you have to give up a study hall for that so that you can find room in your schedule. But we also have students who will double up in music classes. Like I said before, we have some students who will take orchestra and music technology because they really want to do that. And one of our senior orchestra students this year is going to major, or wants to major, in music production and is applying and preparing his portfolio right now of all of these productions. And so, so that's very exciting. So I was saying that there are 4 semesters of requirement, but many students go beyond that and fill up their schedule with a lot of art classes, and many of our students will take it for 4 years. In an effort to really provide some more challenge and interest among our juniors and seniors in the music ensembles, like the band and choir and orchestra, we offer a class called Advanced Musicianship that runs concurrent with band and orchestra. So if you, or choir, with their respective class. So if you're in orchestra, your freshman and sophomore year, and you want some extra challenge, you can take Advanced Musicianship your junior and senior year, which is a semi-independent study, which meets at the same time as orchestra. But sometimes the students have independent time where they can leave the class while the orchestra is working on some music theory or some technical exercises that you've probably played 100 times because you were in the class for 2 years before that. So as a junior and senior, you can set your own individual goal. It has ranged, it can get a little silly. From one student a couple years ago whose goal was to produce music or prepare a solo piece using a looper pedal. He's a saxophonist, and he set up a microphone and accompanied himself. So he played one line on the saxophone and then played another line and then ended up improvising over top of that. We've had students approach college-level music theory. But while we don't offer the AP music theory class, I can meet with students on in the advanced musicianship class who are interested in learning that higher-level music theory and help them prepare for college. If you're going to be a music major, most of the time, those AP music theory credits don't actually translate to music theory credits at college because they want you to take Intro to Music Theory in college as a major, music major. And so that's it, kind of advanced musicianship. So you have one guy making music on his computer, another guy playing the saxophone with a looper pedal, other people preparing ISMA solo and ensemble solos at a very high level. And I'm just spending that extra time to practice rather than working on some of the more basic stuff that freshmen and sophomores do. And then the Intro to Music Technology class, the Intro to Percussion class are 2 opportunities for students to fulfill their art requirement that may not have been in music before. And so we do have some opportunities. The choir is also open to anybody who is interested and thinks that they'd like to improve their voice as a singer. And you don't have to have any previous experience for that. I actually need to rewrite my course guide because a student saw me in the hall and said, I didn't sign up for percussion because I only did it for 1 year in middle school, and I didn't know if that was okay. And I heard her playing the piano, and I was like, okay, but you definitely could have been in the class, and you need to join next semester, so I'm going to help you do that. So the course guide says 2 years of middle school music experience for band and orchestra and percussion, or with instructor approval. So if you are interested in being in band or orchestra or choir or percussion and you have not ever played the instrument before, you can talk to me and we can help you make that work. Last year, somebody graduated who, when they first started, Nancy Webster, admissions officer, this is my first year at the school, she said, I don't know if this guy has any experience, but he said he played saxophone before, and I think that that's true. And it was very hard at first, But I worked with him one-on-one outside of class, and we really developed a relationship, and he was the most committed pep band member and one of the best improvisers by the time he left when we played jazz tunes. And he was just so awesome, and it changed the way that I think about access to our music programs. And I want, if nothing else, I told you earlier, my passion about music, it needs to be accessible for everyone, and so anybody can take music if you have an interest and a desire to do so. So don't worry too much about requirements. I think that, I don't know if I answered all that. The question was arts requirements. Yeah. Oh, in the program. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Anna and I have that in common, where we will sometimes talk and often talk to each other. And so, yeah, yes, Anna's doing a really good job. Yes, it's true. So I am very passionate about it, and I try to share that passion with students. Tasha talked about creativity, and that's a cornerstone of the curriculum that Callie and I have in the performing arts. So we are often having projects where students are doing working on music. Or projects that they are themselves coming up with. So one of the cornerstones of or hallmarks of the music program is the small groups. We put on a concert called Coffee House Covers, and everybody in the band, orchestra, and choir, and percussion has to pick a group of musicians, so 2 or 3 other people, sometimes 4 or 5, and they get to pick the music, and they get to pick the people that they're playing with. So even if sometimes we've had like a flute and 4 trombones, that it would be okay. And they come up with the arrangement, and I help them through that process. And instead of being the director that waves the stick and tells them how to interpret the music, they sometimes arrange their own music, rehearse their own music, and I really become more of a coach in that project. And that's one of the ways that we try to mirror that creativity aspect in the music program. And that's not always something that I experienced growing up, and it's something I really want to encourage in my students, because it's something as an adult creator of music has made me feel much more passionate and in control and in charge. So we could have done a whole night just with me talking to people about music. So Callie Hartz is our theater director, and we do have 4 classes taught by her on a rotating basis. She teaches 2 per semester, and many students will take the intro to acting class, acting for everyone, the intro to art class, the intro to photography class, and the intro to music tech class, and those are their art credits. But other students will take that intro to theater class and then audition for the play, and then really continue to pursue acting. I think there's an intro to acting class, an advanced acting class, and a stage, like a tech class, technical theater class. And then there's a rotating class that this year is film, and then next semester the advanced acting class is acting for film. And many students are really, that's a very popular class right now, as is the intro to music technology. So like I think that's the future, and a lot of our arts education is going to be a lot more technological, and we're doing a good job at trying to offer those courses.
And there's a good question here for freshmen. Because of our scheduling at university, students take 7 classes in a semester. If you think they have, particularly in those early years, they're doing some of their core requirements, so they'll have an English, a history, a science, a math, a language. They may then only have I will speak into this microphone now, as that Taylor is gesturing. They may only have a 1 spot open for electives, for arts, for PE, for health, for these other things. There is plenty of opportunity for them to still take art and music and have a study hall. The question was about summer opportunities. We have sometimes offered like an introductory to photography class in the summer. What most freshmen do in the summer, if they want to get ahead and have more room for additional electives or classes that they're passionate about, is to take PE and health over the summer. Those are staples of our summer program, so we always offer those, whereas the arts don't come up as often. So that's kind of a summer opportunity to get PE and health out of the way, so you can have more time to take art or other electives, theater, music, here at university. I've got kind of 2 things on my mind. One is a question here in the chat. How do world languages, how do the arts, how do you guys collaborate with other departments? Is there a lot of cross-curricular work? Sometimes it's in January term, sometimes it's in, Tasha taught a class with an English teacher on graphic novels, so do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So we have an awesome set of colleagues here at the school. This is the best staff, and I think that's one reason why January term is so wonderful, is because we really get to be close to our coworkers, but not now, obviously. But there have been several opportunities in the last few years where we've tried a few new things in the curriculum. So Alicia and Jake taught Race in America. And I taught a graphic novel class with Wes Priest, who is an English teacher, and they were called co-rec classes. So students took it. It actually took up 2 periods of the day. They were squished together to become like a block every day. And they got 2 credits. So they got an English and an art credit, but it wasn't kind of isolated classes. So it wasn't like Wes would teach the literature and then I would come and teach the art. We were going back and forth. And it was really wonderful. I think the graphic novel class was probably one of the classes that the kids talk about the most today, the ones that return. That's the class I hear brought up a lot, just because I think it gave students an opportunity to see their coursework overlap with other areas of their world. I mean, I always try to bring in teachers when we can. In my textiles class, we do a whole unit on natural dyes. And Erica Adams, she's the chemistry teacher, she came in and she did dye chemistry with the class a few years ago. And it was awesome. So we talked all about how acid and bases change the color of cabbage dye. So we dyed fiber with cabbage and it was purple. But then if you poured vinegar on it, it turned green. And it's not a stable dye, so it constantly changes depending on how basic or acidic your water is. I didn't understand that until Erica Adams taught it to me. So I think that's really awesome too. And everybody here wants to talk about their subject matter because we love it. We get so excited about it. Clearly, like Daniel is just sitting here like, he can't stop talking. He's so excited. We're all so excited. But we also want to share that with our colleagues and the students. So I think as often as we can, we try to bring others into our classes and do the same for them. So
something that has just come up recently for me, in the AP French language and culture class, we really have a lot of freedom to design a curriculum, and I am a voracious reader of the news, and so I try to make sure that I'm keeping my units that I create for my students, keep them sort of relevant to what's going on today. And I happened to be going on and on in the faculty workroom one day about this unit that I was working on about heroes and who is a hero and how does a society decide who their heroes are, and what do we do when we start to question maybe people that we've held in high esteem in the past, and so on, because this is a movement obviously that's going on both here and in France and around the world. And one of our social studies teachers happened to be in there, and we ended up scheduling a meeting, and we have another meeting scheduled for this week to figure out how we can coordinate. He's teaching a class about the 1960s, which was a seminal time in French culture as well. And so we're working on right now a unit on how can we combine sort of what we're doing in our classes for those students who happen to be in both of our classes, or those just for our own for future, to get the idea, to demonstrate to the students that there is overlap between subjects. You learned chemistry, but you might not have done that otherwise, but you're here with a person who's an expert on chemistry, and she learned about what you do as well. So I think the idea of being a lifelong learner is something that we also model for our students. We are excited about our own subjects, but we're also excited to learn what our colleagues are doing and to seeing those connections between what we're doing in our classroom and what others are doing in their classrooms.
While there is a lot of collaboration that happens like that with a conversation that sparks an idea that becomes this really, really awesome thing, we do some of those. Most of the collaboration that I have gotten to do with music and other subjects has been through J-Term. So in January term, I've taught 3 January term classes, and this year I'm teaching my 4th. And the first year that I taught January term, I did a a class with art teacher Luke Crawley, who's also a science teacher who loves making things. And so we had some student interest in songwriting, and then other students who were interested in building instruments, but not enough students to do one course in either. So we offered one class in instrument building and songwriting, which culminated in a trip to Nashville to check out songwriters and to visit some luthiers who build instruments. And so it was a really awesome time to collaborate with one of my colleagues who knew so much more about constructing things and the physics of sound. And it was a really cool opportunity to like have this creative side and the maybe more technical side coming together. And then I taught a history of rock and roll class with one of our history teachers. And that was a delight because I knew a lot about the development of the sounds and the history about like the equipment. And he knew so much more about the cultural connections, and it was so awesome. I learned a lot in that class, and I think he told me, wow, I didn't listen to music that way, but now I do. So it was very cool. And we often learn a lot from each other through January term. And then this year I'm teaching with Madame Swann. We're teaching a class about New Orleans and the culture, and we're collaborating with an English teacher. So we have a world language teacher, an English teacher, and a music teacher. Talking about one of the most culturally diverse and rich places in the world, about poetry and about music and about culture. And it's going to be a really fun class to teach.
Let's talk a little bit, because this came up earlier, what feedback do you guys get in your disciplines about students carrying this learning on forward? So either in college, how prepared students are to study the arts or to study language kind of in the college setting, but even beyond that, like still using their language that they've learned beyond college, or still playing their instrument, still doing art, even if that's not what they ended up majoring in. What are we seeing? What feedback are you getting about how students go from there?
So from time to time, I hear from mentees who have graduated, in the past. And of course, I love to know what is going on with them in their lives. And it has been, surprising to me, not really surprising, but I guess a delightful surprise, that when these students who have like perhaps gone through probably AP Spanish, they let me know, gosh, when I got to X, university, X college, I felt like it was almost too easy, the class that I was in. So they are extremely well prepared. And I can't necessarily take a whole lot of credit for that because that's the upper level teachers, and hopefully I help along the way. But it has been wonderful to know that even if they decide not to use, Spanish or, French, let's say, in their work life or in their personal life, the fact that, if they wanted to go ahead and get some college credit for it, that's fair, right? That's a great reason to want to continue with perfecting a language, that they have done a really good job, and that they have just said in those words, gosh, I felt like I was really able to do this. I felt confident. I was able to speak, whereas maybe some, other students in the class were more reticent to do so. So that speaks volumes to me.
Just to add to that, we do have a number of students at university who have done the IU Honors Program, which is a summer immersion program. And a lot of those kids do that, just because they're interested in the language or learning more about the culture. But what I've found is that even kids who have not done an immersion program, just who have gone through our program, whether in French or Spanish, they often end up, I think, to their own surprise, having gone through the program. When they get to the end of it, they're like, I don't really want to stop this. And their level is good. Maybe it's not what they don't want to become a language teacher, or not necessarily, their major, but they often will end up minoring in Spanish or French. I'm amazed at the number of our students who go on to major or to minor in one of the languages. And I think that that's really a testament to, that they love it, that they not only are they proficient at it, which is of course, part of our job, but they also really enjoy the language and feel like it enriches their lives in a way that they want to kind of formalize by going on, and getting that sort of credential. So that makes us really happy when we hear that.
Yeah, sorry. So thank you for that question. It's a really good question about I guess the idea of being prepared for college through the programs that we offer. And so In the music program, I did talk earlier about access. So we do try to provide opportunities for students who don't have a lot of experience, but many of our students come into our program earning gold medals at all of the ISMA solo and ensemble contests, and then go on to either major or just participate in music in college and become members of the top ensembles in their college groups through the audition process in college. And a large part of that is just the opportunities that we provide for performance. So we have the fall play for theater, we have the spring musical, and a lot of performance opportunities in the classes that Callie teaches. Those are available to anybody. The after-school extracurricular theater program is accessible to anybody. We have auditions, and you do not have to have had the theater acting classes, but typically the acting students do better in the auditions. Our music program has a lot of opportunities for the students who are more advanced to form smaller ensembles, like our jazz combo often gigs off campus. And I guess my idea there was the through line, I think, is that we have a lot of performances. So the members of our jazz band play a lot. And that's an extracurricular group. The pep band members play a lot. We perform a lot. And so I had a conversation with a recent graduate who's playing in an ensemble right now at college, and he was just so surprised. He shared his feedback, and it was really touching because this is the first time I've received that feedback from somebody. But he said, it was just it's so different. Like it's regimented, and there's not a lot of space for the creativity. And I just love how much I got to improvise, and how much this is a jazz student talking about jazz, and just how much that helped me become a better guitarist by getting to have the space to perform, and you didn't really get in our way too much. Like we really were able to blossom and really able to develop our skills and our performance skills at a level that the people that he met in college have not yet gotten to. So that was really touching, because this is kind of the goal, is to try to help people become self-sufficient performers. Like if you want to become better at the violin, you need to go practice the violin. And that's true wherever you go to school. So if you play violin and you're watching, go practice after we finish. Okay.
So generally speaking, I think about half of the kids right now that go through the AP Art program at the school will end up majoring in art. So when I teach an AP Art class, generally I don't teach it to the art major. I mean, I give that opportunity, but there's also a lot of students that are not going to be working artists in their career. My goal in the art curriculum is for students to be able to analyze, to be critical viewers, to be able to technically create, and be holistic consumers of art as they go through their life. Because I think that that's actually much more valuable than just being able to technically paint a picture. I can't take credit just for that, though, because this school is holistically centered around the creative individual. Obviously, that's part of our core values, but kids are creative here. They think outside of the box, they're innovative, and I think that they're given the opportunity to do so in the way the curriculum as a whole has been set up. So, yeah, they're creative, but it's not just artistic. They're musicians, and they're language speakers, and writers, and so I think there's a lot of opportunity for kids to take away the creative spirit of the school, whether it is that they're like a graphic designer, or if they're a doctor but they paint on the side. So
absolutely, it's to get them to see the relevance and connection to becoming kind of a lifelong student of language. Oh, my lavalier is dead, and I keep talking. So I was saying, supporting for Tasha, the idea that we do try and cultivate in our students a sense of practicing that lifelong creativity, being a language learner, being a musician, being an artist, finding ways to incorporate that in your life, regardless of what it is that you go on to do. We have a question here in the chat, Shannon, that you might be best suited to answer. Are there ways to study abroad or do cultural immersion not just in January term? And I know that it's largely in January term right now, but we've had a few other opportunities, and there are more other summer opportunities. We've had foreign students
come here, students from abroad come here and host them. And then a little bit about, is there fundraising scholarship opportunities? I can talk a little bit about that to help fund some of that. But yeah.
So when I came to the school in 2002, I was the only French teacher for about 15 years, and several years ago we began having more and more international students that were applying to our school, and so we now have 10 to 15 usually per year students that come from abroad. And when I took on that position, part of what I personally wanted to be able to do was to really dedicate some time to encouraging our domestic students to have more opportunities abroad. And so that's something that has been in, I myself did the IU honors program back in the day when I was in high school. And I, studied abroad in college and so on. So I'm a true believer in the benefits of having an overseas experience. That is not necessarily available to all of our students for whatever reason. It's not something they want to do when they're in high school. There are financial, reasons. There are lots of reasons. And so we do have a couple of opportunities that we have developed in the last few years. One, we do have opportunities for hosting international students. So we've had students from Guatemala who have come for a couple of months every fall. I'd say for maybe 5 or 6 years. Yeah, maybe even longer than that. And so that is a great opportunity for our students, particularly those who are interested in Spanish, but for any student who wants that kind of international interaction, they host the students and the students attend our school for a couple of months. Our other French teacher, who's not with us this evening, Christopher Heinsley, has been at the school for a few years, and he brought with him an exchange program that he had put together with a colleague in France. And we now have an ongoing French exchange program where we have French students that come here for 3 weeks in the fall. And then our students, they host those students, and then reciprocally, those French students host our students, and then that is during a January term. But the hosting part, and of course, takes place in the fall. And of course, the entire school, benefits from having those students here on campus. I do have a lot of information for students. There are scholarships for study abroad in the summer. Generally, the scholarships are more related to critical languages. So if you are studying French or Spanish, maybe there are fewer opportunities to get that funded. But even here at the school, we do have some means of helping out if that's something that is a barrier to a student having an international experience. It's definitely something I always tell them, come and talk to me, because where there's a will, there's a way. That's my motto.
Absolutely, we do try and encourage them to find those ways. We are nearing kind of the end of our time here, but if we hit everything, anybody missing anything from their department that we haven't called upon? I don't think so. I think we've covered a lot. I appreciate all these teachers for being here. I do want to give a special shout out. If you've done any of these virtual sessions, they would not be possible in any way, shape, or form without the amazing work of Daniel Knox. So he sets up all the AV, the tech, in addition to being our amazing music teacher. So I want him to get recognized here on camera because you've been behind the camera for everyone. Yes, and Taylor Newell, our director of admissions, would like you to know that he's been running the tech for this one, which is why we've had all the mic problems. But so I'm so grateful for my colleagues. This really is an amazing place to be every day, and I hope that for you at home or you're watching this on the internet, however you're thinking about finding the right high school for yourself or for your student, find a place that helps them come alive. University does that for so many students, and I really hope that maybe we'll be the place that does that for you. But find a place that feels comfortable, that helps you be the best person that you can be, because that's the most comprehensive way to prepare you for the future. Thank you for spending some time with us tonight, and we wish you best of luck. If we didn't answer a question, please follow up with Nancy or Taylor in admissions or myself, and we can get you in the right place. You can email Daniel or Kelly. You can email Tasha. Everyone's email's on the website. You can email all of us. But we are a school that wants to answer your questions and to reach out and to build that connection. So please don't hesitate. And that's all we have for tonight. So thank you very much. Have a good evening. Bye, guys.